Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to do a video of my top baits of 2025, the baits that produce the best for me and that I will still have tied on in 2026. I guess I'll say my top bait that I fish, I don't know, pretty close. A couple of them's pretty close, but I fish this one bait here a lot. I have it tied on as soon as the water temperature starts going up in the spring. It doesn't matter if the water temperature is in the 30s or 40s, but as soon as it has like a 5-degree jump in temperature from where it was the coldest. Say the coldest water temperature was 36, as soon as it hits 41, I'm tying one of these on and I start fishing it, and I will not stop fishing it until the water temperature drops below 50 or 55 degrees, somewhere along in there. Seems like after it goes below 55, seems like it slows down quite a bit. But even in the spring, even in colder water in the spring, once that water temperature does its first like 5 to 7 degree jump in temperature, seems like they're on this bait, and I catch a lot of big bass on it, and I have won quite a bit of money on this bait. And the bait that I'm talking about is a True Faith custom bait wobblehead with a Big Bites bait fighting frog, either the 4 or the 5-inch model. I've caught some huge bass early in the spring before the spawn on the 5-inch, and then some days they don't really want the 5-inch, they want the 4-inch. But I'll have one of them tied on. Just pick your favorite color of the wobblehead, or not the wobblehead, but the fighting frog. Get you a wobblehead that kind of matches. I use the copperhead paint color on my wobbleheads, because it'll go with browns, it'll go with greens, it'll go with about anything. But that's going to be one of my top baits that I use to catch a lot of big fish, and I will definitely have tied on in 2026. I use 3/8, half ounce, 5/8, 3/4 ounce, 7/16, any of those sizes. I like to have some that's lighter for fishing anywhere from the bank out to 10-12 foot deep. 3/8, somewhere around a 3/8 size is a good size for that, unless the wind's blowing extremely hard and you're having to fight the wind to keep in contact with the bottom. You want to make sure that bait is staying on contact with the bottom, bouncing off the rocks, the wood, everything that's down there, bouncing off of it, causing it to have erratic action down there. 99% of the time I'm fishing that on at least 15-pound test line, 15 to 20-pound test fluorocarbon, because I'm fishing in some gnarly places, rocks, brush piles, laydowns. I put it in the thickest of the thick. I even use those big I'll even use a 1.25 ounces to punch mats with that wobblehead. I'll punch mats with it, and I catch a lot of big fish punching mats with a wobblehead. But I always want to keep it in contact with the bottom. I usually reel it real slow, and then once in a while I'll either stop it or I'll give it a kind of a quick turn to make it kind of shoot forward. And after I do that and make it shoot forward, I kill it and let it go to the bottom, and let it sit there for a couple of seconds before I start reeling again. The erratic action triggers fish to bite, and I've caught a lot of big fish, especially when you come up and bang into something that kind of feels like you're hung up, and you either kind of give your reel a kind of a quick turn, or you pop it up a little bit with your rod tip and to get it to come over whatever object it's up against. And when it shoots up off the bottom, and when you give it a quick turn, or when you have to pop it over something, a lot of times that's when the fish will hit. Whenever you get a bite on a wobblehead, don't set the hook immediately. That's why a lot of people loses fish on a wobblehead, because a lot of times those fish comes down and bangs into it trying to stun it, and before they really get it in their mouth. So when you feel them hit it, kind of just keep reeling real slow, and when you feel the tension build up from the fish having it in its mouth, that's when you set the hook. You want to set the hook straight up. You don't want to do a side hook set. If you do a side hook set, sometimes that lead weight coming through the fish's lips seems like it opens their mouth up enough for that hook to get out. If you'll come straight up, that hook will be coming up, and that head will be coming straight up out of the fish's mouth, and the hook will be right behind it. And I use some kind of a coated hook, an extremely sharp coated hook, to get the best penetration I can, and I get the best hookups with that coated hook and setting the hook straight up. I fish it on a 7'3" heavy, medium heavy to heavy rod, and I like to use a faster reel. When I get a hook set, I like to be able to crank those things out of there quick as I can, because usually I'm in some gnarly stuff. Okay, my second bait that I will definitely have tied on will be a True Faith Custom Bait buzz bait. As soon as that water temperature in the spring hits 50 degrees, it gets tied on, and it doesn't get taken off till the water temperature gets below 50 in the fall. I use 99% of the time I'm using a 1/2 ounce, and I've talked about buzz baits in some of my other videos. When the water's cold, use the biggest blade you can find, and True Faith Custom Baits has a big blade on theirs. You can get a big blade on theirs, and reel it just fast enough to keep it on top, just enough to make it keep plopping the top when the water's cold. After the water gets warmer, you can speed up a little bit, but a lot of times I find especially in the summertime, when they're used to seeing buzz baits already, that if I still reel it slow enough, just kind of keep it on top, just popping the top, I'll be using a smaller blade, just a normal size blade, but if I can just reel it slow enough to keep it on top, it seems like I get more bites that way too at times. Third bait that I will definitely have tied on is a crankbait, whether it's going to be the rock crawler, the DT6, DT810, whichever, but either the rock crawler, a DT series, or a Shad Rap. One of those three I will have tied on about all year long, and a square bill. I have to throw a square bill in the mix of the crankbait, because a lot of times I'm fishing extremely shallow rock, riprap, and brush, so I'll have to have a square bill tied on. Just the depth of the fish is going to determine which crankbait that I have on. Another bait that I will have tied on, well, I'm going to say a category, sort of. It's going to be a spinner, True Faith custom bait spinnerbait or slash chatterbait. I catch a lot of fish on spinnerbait, chatterbait, especially in the spring. I mean, I'll fish a spinnerbait just about all year long. Fishing it, either slow rolling it when the water's cold like it is right now, or fairly cold. It's not, hadn't gotten really cold yet. Today is the 6th of January and it's 71 degrees outside, and that's just weird. I think next week's supposed to be colder, but even in cold water, I'll use big bladed, either willow leaf, or 99% of the time it's going to be a Colorado blade. But I'll be slow rolling that spinnerbait. Then when water warms up, then I'm going to be throwing either the spinnerbait or the chatterbait, and throwing it around shallow. When the water's warming up, throw it around shallow wood, grass, rocks, boat docks, just whatever. And last but not least, I will definitely be using, and I've caught a lot of bass on just a plain old stick bait, Senko style bait. Whether I'm using the full size Senko Texas rig, or on a wobble head, or if I'm wacky rigging it, any of those ways to fish it, I'll have a Senko on, and I may even have it, if I don't have any Ned heads, if I don't have any Ned baits with me, I'll pinch off 2 or 3 inch section of a Senko style bait, and I'll put that on a Ned head and fish that. So you can use a Senko style bait and just about any way you want to fish it. I'll put it on a wobble head, I Texas rig it, I put it on a jig, I put it on a jig head just by itself, wacky rig it, Carolina rig it, just any way you want to fish it, you can fish a Senko. And a lot of times those Senkos will catch fish when nothing else will. So those are my top baits from 2025 that I will definitely have tied on and in the boat in 2026. So I'm gonna get off of here. It's about time to load kids. It's gonna get noisy in here. If you like what you see here, please hit the like, share, and subscribe. And you all have a blessed rest of the week, and I will see you guys out on the water.